Well, thanks for joining us for the show. And as always, this segment, we look at the topical issues for the morning. And we show that we've been carrying, a backlog of issues from the last week into this week. We have here legal practitioner and also a member of the NDC, Abraham Amaliba here. Good morning to you, AB.
Good morning.
And also seated here is another legal practitioner, member of Parliament for 2nd D, Andre Japamesa, member of the MPP as well. Uncle,
good morning.
How are you?
I'm well.
Great.
Yourself?
How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good.
All right.
Yeah.
And we know that one of the topical issues that have dominated the airwaves since the last week has been the subject of A+. We know a great entertainer, but also an ardent supporter of the MPP, who had raised certain issues in a post initially on Facebook that apparently raised some eyebrows within the corridors of power, but more so the Ghana Police Service and the criminal investigation wing of the Ghana Police Service taking up the subject, taking some investigations, and ultimately, led to some conclusions. And then there was a leaked audio, and that has raised a number of issues. We've had from over the weekend a number of personalities speaking on the subject, Kwekubako on Newsfile, a number of the officials of both parties also speaking on the subject. But today, we just want to look at the issues. And before our guests come in, there's been an apology on the Facebook Live page of A+. So we want to play that to you. We'll analyze that when we come back, and we'll look into the subject in detail.
The people who came, Unibank, they only came and the 2 times when they called for tender. They didn't go. I am sure Abu doesn't know about that. So he thinks that, they are just kicking them out. No, my brother, it's not like that. They were invited on 2 different occasions. They didn't show up. That they wrote to Korle-Bu and said that, nominate somebody and let's send the person abroad to go and look for the software and buy for you. At that time, one bank had presented a software and management saw that it was good. So it is not about somebody just getting up and personal reasons sacking somebody from anywhere. No, it is about putting in place a software that will run the hospital, that will check how many bags of sugar you have in the stores, how many paracetamol you have here, that will check how many how many beds are empty, so that you don't get people being returned and going to die. And as for me, for all those who come to me and say, Kwame, don't talk, that is not why we came to power. I beg you. That is not. We came to power to check the things that are not going well and to make it better. If MPP thinks that Kwame A+ is telling us that at this place, this is what is going on, and it's very wrong, so let's do it this way, where we have a solution. We are not only complaining, but we have a solution. And anybody thinks that because of that, let's sideline him, let's not talk to him again, I'll be very happy, because the discerning Ghanaians will know that even though I'm looking for money, every day you meet me at ministries, you meet me here, I'm roaming like a madman, I want money, but there are certain things that life and death matter, that will affect everybody. That one, we will have to make sure that we fight for it. And me, until government of Ghana, until Ministry of Finance, until Controller and Accountant General agrees for Korle-Bu to put in place a system that will independently tell Korle-Bu how much money they make, to increase the internal generated fund, to increase working conditions of the workers, to be able to put the hospital on the level, to check where there are beds, to prevent the hospital from returning people to go and die because they don't know where there are beds, to put a system in place that will tell you that when you bring Mr. A, there is no bed here, but there's one bed in that corner, go and put the person there.
Well, Kwame A+, is he the new citizen vigilante? Well, I guess it's a question we'll have to keep asking ourselves. But Andrew, what do you make of this? Well, Kwame A+ and all his controversies that have surrounded him over the last couple of days, if not weeks.
Well, before I begin, let me just say good morning to yourself and my colleague panelists, and to your cherished viewers, particularly those in my constituency, Second B. I wish all of them good morning. It's been a, if you like, crazy week, dominated by A+ and of course the leaked tape, and subsequently his live Facebook post, I believe yesterday, which essentially was written an apology to the two chiefs of staff that he had accused of some wrongdoing, and concluded that probably because of some deceit that had been presented to them, that was what had caused them to act in a manner that they did. I mean, for me, the critical thing is that there was no ill motive or corruption, as some people have sought to paint, on the part of these two fine gentlemen. I know them quite well, and I've said on another platform that I can stick my neck out for their integrity. All the issues that came up, really, if you go to the bottom of it, what really was it? I mean, these are individuals who had received some petition and had taken steps to inquire as to the veracity or otherwise of the claim made in the Unibank letter, had subsequently referred the matter to the Minister of Health, who is the appropriate person, because he's the overriding ministry exercising supervisory role over Korle-Bu, and that was the end of the matter. Of course, I understand that A+ is an aid, at least that's the description that I heard on Joy FM this morning. That is an aid to the CEO of Korle-Bu, and he had come because the decision or the directive that had ultimately come from the ministry was for the process to be truncated. I don't know what feelings he had that made him come out and make those allegations that he himself had ultimately essentially retracted, and provided no proof whatsoever regarding wrongdoing on the part of these two gentlemen. I think it's useful that if there's some suspicion of wrongdoing, it be brought out, so that we can interrogate it and see what it is that really, are the issues, so that at least it goes to inform government, guides people's actions going forward. So, well, it's been a long week of A+. I believe there are other matters of interest and concern to us as a people. A lot of things that are happening. Free SHS is making significant waves across the country, impacted positively people's lives. Several other issues that are worthy of celebration are occurring, and so that is what it is. Yeah.
Abraham.
Yes.
A+ and all the controversies surrounding him.
So
is it just a loudmouth party person, or perhaps much ado about nothing?
So this week began again with A+, but I must say that over the weekend, public sector workers were denied their salaries. They were not paid, and I'm sure by now most of them.
Which categories of public sector?
I'm saying public sector workers have not been paid. The month is well over. We are in 2nd October. September salaries have not hit their accounts. Some are going about are borrowing, and I think that this is bad news for those people.
Which categories of public sector?
I've told you, public sector workers are saying which category. Beyond that too, you have fuel prices going up. Taxi drivers are complaining.
Which fuel prices?
Petrol.
Okay.
Diesel have gone up. Taxi drivers are complaining. These are the issues, bread and butter issues. People have not been paid their salaries. Times are hard. They are supposed to brace themselves. So I call on Ghanaians to keep on praying and to ensure that their prayers are heard by God to take them away from this wicked government that we have. But on A+, you see, Korle-Bu has always been bedeviled with such controversies, you know that. This is not the first time that Korle-Bu is in the news for the wrong reasons. But this is the first time that the presidency is being fingered as maybe being the source of the controversy. This is the first time that Korle-Bu's problems is traceable to the presidency. 2 chiefs of staffs have been fingered, and the head of that institution is the president. We've not heard him yet deal with this matter of the Korle-Bu. We've not heard the president, who has indicated that he's going to fight corruption. We've not heard him make a statement as to how his institution, of which he heads, has been engulfed in this mess. And so I have said that, look, the president cannot fight corruption in this country. It's just talking with the mouth, but not walking the talk. And I've said it time without number. So nobody should have hope in this president to be able to fight corruption. Even within the Flagstaff House, 2 of his deputies, chiefs of staff,
are you aware?
Have been involved in the matter.
That A+, the protagonist.
I am coming. Out of the abundance of the heart, if you want me to leave there, I'll come. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. A+ made statements to the effect that the 2 deputy chief of staff were involved in this matter. I have been in politics enough to know about what is called damage control mechanism. I am in government to know that. But you see, the leaked tape that had the voice of a CID top official saying things that suggest that there was a cover-up in the investigations is so damning that what A+ is trying to do now, trying to wash the 2 deputy chief of staff, will not work. That leaked tape, in fact, if we were in some jurisdictions, serious countries, where law and order works, not this country that law and order has broken down since 7th January. If we were in a country when...
That's not the first time we've had leaked tapes in Ghana.
No, you don't understand me. You take me out. Let me finish. If we're in a country where law and order works, not the kind of country we assumed we plunged ourselves into on the 7th of January, that policewoman, that officer would have been under investigation as we speak. It is so damning a leak tape that you cannot allow such an officer to continue occupying that position when his work or her work is supposed to ensure that he protects the national security. You find a policewoman on tape speaking about, do not speak about these matters because you are one of them, and that virtually speaking as if she is more or less an MPP operative. That is not how the police institution works. But we are in a country where the government and its operatives have decided that we would infiltrate into the police institution and ensure that the police does not work to perfection or to its satisfaction. So I am saying that what A+ is saying now, today, is just a damage control mechanism. Indeed, Korle-Bu itself is now at war with Unibank. So if what A+ had said was frivolous, I don't think that it will have merit the attention of Unibank and Korle-Bu Hospital to now be fighting over that same contract. It suggests that there was some cover-up, and as the leak tape indicated, is a clear case of the government being in bed with the police to cover up. So I do not take what A+ is saying today or yesterday or what we have seen. I take what A+ has said earlier on, and the leaked tape also corroborates the kind of murky situation in which we find ourselves, where there is an attempt to cover up. I am gratified that a group of Ghanaians have seen through all these machinations and have gone to Shiraj, to petition Shiraj, which is the appropriate body, much independent than the police institution, to deal with this matter. Anytime the MPP comes to power, the police image sinks. You remember the cocaine missing from sea floor of the headquarters. When the NDC comes to power and tries to prop up the police again, when they come, they pull the police down again. And this is what we have seen again, where the police institution is now covering up for this government. They did that for the bust, they covered up. This one too, the same thing is happening.
Mr. Bessa, we've had Korle-Bu come to issue a statement, and out of that, the management of Unibank has reacted swiftly, calling us lies and the figment of somebody's imagination, the content of or some aspect of the content of a statement. And I'm sure you may have apprised yourself as far as the Unibank release is concerned. That seems to suggest that really there seems to be a turf war ongoing.
Absolutely. So it tells you clearly that there was a reason for the issue to have been taken to the office of the president. In any rational being evaluating the statement that was issued by Korle-Bu and the response from Unibank clearly tells you that there was or is some bad blood between Unibank and Korle-Bu, and that informed the decision to terminate the contract that Unibank had with Korle-Bu. And they, because they felt aggrieved by the process, reverted to higher authority to see to the resolution of the matter. So wherein lies the issues that my friend Amalipa and his colleagues are raising about some wrongdoing on the part of the two chiefs of staff? I mean, these two statements from Korle-Bu and Unibank alone speaks volumes. So should Unibank have slept on their rights when they felt that they were being shortchanged? Clearly not. And the steps that have been taken subsequently vindicates Asenso and Jinapor clearly. But you see, it doesn't surprise me when my friend Ibrahim and his colleagues try to paint this government in a negative light, because they are in opposition, and that's what they have to do as to whether it's true or not to try and get the people of Ghana to make a decision in their favor in December 2020. But the truth of the matter is this, that look, thankfully there are a lot of discerning people in this country who can read in between the lines and know the truth from mere propaganda. Okay, what was contained in the tape that sought to make a claim that the two gentlemen were culpable? If you listen to the tape itself, the lady clearly stated that, yes, we've gone to Korle-Bu, conducted some investigation, and what you said is not far from the truth. Why not? A+ made a statement to the effect that some letters had been written and some intervention had come from the Flagstaff House. So when you go to Korle-Bu, yes, they will confirm that, yes, we've had interjections from the Flagstaff House and the ministry regarding this contract.
Yeah.
So confirming that to A+ amounts to criminality on the part of Jinapor and Asenso. No, because in the tape, in that very tape itself, let's just assume that it's an authentic tape, because the lady has come out to say that these were a series of conversations post and pre the police investigative report that had been pieced together. In that very tape itself,
the lady went ahead to say that, yes, we have invited the gentleman to come tomorrow. So at that point, she had not heard from Mr. Asenso and Abu Jinapor. Now, subsequently, when they went to the police station and explained that, yes, a letter was brought to the office of the chief of staff, we called the chief executive to find out what it was that the issues were, and subsequently referred the matter to the Ministry of Health. They came out and concluded that they had done no wrong.
Very well.
So what is he talking about? Today, I promised myself that I was going to be very calm with him, because I know that their modus is to seek to paint the government black, and whatever you do, they're going to try and draw inferences of wrongdoing. But the good people of Ghana are listening to the issues, and they will make a judgment.
If you watch
government
the
did
post,
no wrong, yes, I'm listening.
if you watch the post, that seek essentially also to apologize to the two deputy chiefs,
Absolutely.
chief of staff. A Plus also goes beyond the apology and still maintain and insist that something untoward was wrong.
What did
At
he say?
Korle-Bu.
Yes,
Essentially.
it could be that there are some issues, and I've read the statement from
And if
Korle-Bu
you
that there are some
juxtapose
revenue
that
leakages.
with the content of the leaked tape, then and the comments of the deputy CID head, then that borders of issues of perhaps trying to mitigate or manage a situation which would ultimately, if not handled, will paint government black.
I don't think so at all, because I mean the issues are very clear. Yes, there are issues with the revenue collection at Korle-Bu. There's no doubt whatsoever about that. That is why the process of even selecting an institution to manage the revenue collection itself came about. And so if the process that they went through in eliminating Unibank, according to Unibank, was not fair, and government has asked them to hold on with that decision until some further processes are undertaken to ensure fairness in the process, I don't see how that can implicate government in any way, because no conclusion has been made on the revenue collection as we speak.
You see, anytime the world all over, anytime a sitting government blames its woes on the opposition, it's a tacit admission of failure.
And in this sense, in this sense,
to say that the NDC is painting the MPP black. Did we create what is his name? Did the NDC create A plus? Is the NDC that created A plus?
in other words, you're saying
I'm saying is plain English. I'm not saying it in two
That's
ways.
I'm
saying that did the NDC create A plus?
that he's a man of their own stables.
So somebody comes out from the water, a fish comes out of the water and say the crocodile has one eye, which is the MPP has one eye. Then you say is the NDC that is painting?
Whilst you
Then
are
how would you describe
There's really
if
no
the
issue.
NDC?
There's no issue.
You say today you've come here to be gentle. I have come here to be frontal. So don't interject me. These are serious matters. You are hemorrhaging this country.
Which people?
The MPP. See. And I've told you that if you have a president whose modus operandi is to make highfalutin statements about fighting corruption without dealing with the symptoms of corruption, we'll go in circles.
And which are the incidents and indications of some of the cases that you could say the president and the government have not had a certain commitment to see to its end?
The president, when the boss issue came up, the president made a statement which suggested that what happened at boss, where fuel was sold to companies that were not licensed, and he's a lawyer, the president is a big lawyer, he knows that companies involved in that trade must be licensed.
They were not licensed. MPA, you are aware of this. MPA came and said that it was wrong for Boss to sell the fuel to non-licensed moving pina. The president gave the whole transaction a clean bill of health. That's one. Two, the president, at the time that his appointee was alleged to have bribed Parliament committee, and there was no committee yet set up to investigate the conduct of the appointee, the president went ahead and appointed him, regardless of whatever report will come from the Parliament. This is not somebody who fights corruption. One would have expected that if your appointee has been fingered in that way.
Well, the president nominates. And then the president
did he appoint him before the man was cleared by Parliament?
Are you saying, was he playing some role substantively in that capacity before he was approved? Is it not a Boache?
I am telling you that the president has appointed somebody. That person is alleged to have bribed Parliament vetting committee. What would an anti-corruption president have done was to hold back the appointment and say, let's finish with this investigation before I hand it over.
Because your nomination
if he wants, he should go to Magafuli for classes on corruption, fighting corruption. Look, we are in opposition. We will not be cowed by NDC saying this, NDC saying that. We will stick to the issues. We will point out to the government where it has gone wrong. Look, this matter of A+. A+ pointed to wrongdoings on the part of the two deputies. Now, the tape that came out indicated how the police officer who was in charge of this investigation did not do a thorough job. From the audio of the leak tape.
You made those conclusions.
Did not do a thorough job.
I'm saying from the audio you make those conclusions.
Exactly. From the audio you can decipher that this is a policeman, a woman, who was out there to please the sitting government. Her modus operandi was to please the sitting government. To say that, oh, you are one of them. It shouldn't be coming from you. It should have been coming from an independent body, person. This is a clear indication of a police officer who was not interested in dealing with the matter. So how can you now say that because A+ has come out to say, I'm apologizing to these people, the two deputies, matter should close, the matter should end there? It can't be. And I'm happy, once again, that Shiraj has indicated his willingness to investigate this matter.
Is it not surprising to you that at every point they go back to their discredited allegations in the bust issue and the Jacko? What happened in Boache Jacko's case? Was it not the same parliament that he's saying was conducting an investigation that approved the nomination of Mr. Boache Jacko? Was that not what happened?
Doesn't understand that. Don't appoint. Don't let it go through.
But the president made the nomination. It went to parliamentary appointments committee. It was at that point that the allegations of bribery came up.
I think his point is
you don't understand.
Despite
he's mischievous.
Despite the tag and the
knows
controversy that had been raised,
he knows what
on all that. The gentleman had the tacit approval of the president to acting in some substantive position.
No, he is talking about the appointment.
Well,
and I'm saying that Parliament.
Well, we do understand the legality and
with the issue of corruption
and the role Parliament
and clearly turned out to be
could the president withhold the appointment or not?
The persons who made the allegation couldn't provide even one shred of evidence.
That was after. You don't understand. You don't. That was after the appointment. Before the appointment, if it's a president who wants to fight corruption, you say, let me think twice.
You wait
I
for the bill
corruption.
I came to special prosecutor's bill to be passed. I came to whether the president is intended on fighting corruption or not. And I can guarantee you that the special prosecutor's bill.
You said we should wait.
When it comes, we'll see whether this is a president who is committed to fighting corruption.
The special prosecutor.
I'm telling you.
Bill.
I worked on it last week at the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee in Koforidua. When it passes, I can guarantee you cut corruption into half immediately. because the powers that are being given to the special prosecutor are enormous.
So,
And it's going to impact positively on the fight against corruption. But beyond that, look, what was the issue in Bost? We went through Bost back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Tell me what license Bobimpina needed to do the business that they did by buying what you call a contaminated fuel. There was no license regarding that nature of business. None. We've gone through the Bost Act back and forth.
Oh, within that
was
period.
it not here that he did it?
To do that.
Was it not here that and I got him? Look at what he's talking.
You got me where?
You opened the law on MPA, and I pointed to you the section that requires the license. Downstream operators require license. Where did you go and do your MPA?
Are they at OMC? We went through all that. No license.
You cannot deal with downstream operation without license.
That's okay. I mean, essentially, the reason why he raises is he claimed that the president, by his actions or inactions, really didn't show any commitment to curbing corruption.
Do not support that assertion.
True, and it's for
Clearly.
you. It's your right for you to.
For the good people of Ghana to judge. Look, we came to government on a firm commitment to transform this country.
So now what I'm hearing
implement
is that
policies that impact positively on people's lives. Okay?
Okay.
Which is
The
to increase-
NDC sat there and said that we're not going to look. Fuel price has gone up from 6th January, okay, to now by only about 1 city. One cumulatively. Check the figures.
Fuel
because
price went down up by
on the
only 1
6th
city.
One
From
city
January.
on
You
a
said
liter.
on a gallon.
From January up to this time.
Absolutely. Because the prices dropped.
One
and it
city
came
on the-
down. But
only
I'm
one
saying,
city on the
I'm
gallon.
saying that
Only
when
one
we
city.
came to
You are
power,
serious?
I'm serious. When we came to power,
And-
on the 6th,
Yes,
on the 6th of
From January
wait, on the 6th of January, the price of fuel was about 18 cedis and 36 pesos. Today, it is 19 cedis and 80 something pesos.
I get your point.
So I'm saying that since we took over the reins of government to date, the fuel price has increased by only about 1 cedi on a gallon. So what is the noise that they are making?
I think I'll go verify that.
Please do.
But you know,
Check the figures.
have you noticed?
Okay? Have I noticed?
Have you noticed that cumulatively? Anyway, you are an MP, so perhaps maybe you don't buy fuel, so you don't know
Oh,
how.
come on, man. I buy fuel. You know that MPs buy fuel.
I don't know.
I buy fuel on a daily
You have-
or
I
weekly
apologize.
basis.
I
You
apologize.
have enough money to buy fuel.
But at the end of the day, you will say that when you buy
Yes,
it in bulk,
of course.
it's
And
increased.
it's a huge. Yes.
But that's
Everybody
the,
wants.
But that's the thrust of the argument. You say-
Everybody wants a reduction
Yeah.
in fuel prices. But you know the components that go into the computation of fuel prices in this
Well, I
country.
know. And now the
The
government has
world
come out
market
and said
prices
that.
have gone up.
All right, Mr. Maliba,
Now-
how would you classify A plus and subsequently, if in the future we should have such people who will emanate from the party and say, well, these things are ongoing, we feel that these things are wrong. Would they be the new citizen vigilantes? Like we had the NDC's Martin Amido?
You see, if you know the history of A plus actually started as an independent thinker. A plus actually, if you know his songs, the song that some
Like
people,
an advocate, kind of.
an advocate to fight, he wasn't associated with any political party. So what is in him is actually to fight or point out to corrupt practices,
In the
no
system.
matter whose ox is God. That is more burning in him than his party affiliation. So once a while, they should expect it. I'm telling them something they don't know. Once a while, they should expect that he will go above or he will cross the party line. Because this is somebody who naturally is out there to fight injustice in society, no matter whose ox is God.
And you are saying you just have to
either
trace his songs.
his
and,
songs,
and
trace
some of
his
the
songs,
things
and
that-
you see, he wasn't MPP, he wasn't NDC. He has never been NDC, but he wasn't. I think that his likeness for Akufo-Addo is what sent him to MPP, but he's not actually an MPP person. So based on that, you either do deals and cover that he didn't see, but when he sees, he will talk because there's something burning in him. Hey, there's something burning in him, which is to point out at some of these things. And so it is important that we recognize that such people are in every political party. And you mentioned Martin Amido. We in the NDC are grappling with him. They should have their own. That's their replica of Martin Amido. And so it behoves political parties to now begin to understand that even from within, you can have opposition. But I'm being told today that we should wait. When special prosecutor then comes, then we start acts of corruption. So this period is a free period. So the two deputies, and they want to chop now. Free, chop now before the
but who says that when you
so we should wait.
When you commit
we should wait.
any
If there are
corruption,
you just said we should wait. You didn't say we should wait.
I said so.
Fight corruption now. Fight it now. And you are saying that we should wait.
Commitment of His Excellency
Fight
the President
corruption now. You say we
towards
should
the
wait.
fight of
How do we
corruption. Okay? Don't take it out of context and make an issue.
So we should wait.
Out
So
of this. Okay?
Until
the special prosecutor
it is free for all.
would have a mandate to investigate
chop.
all issues of corruption and corruption-related activities.
So for now, we should chop.
It doesn't. Their mandate doesn't begin from when it is established. Okay, so if your people under your government committed some wrongdoing, the special prosecutor would have the mandate to investigate those matters. So naturally,
that the special prosecutor is being set up because of the NDC.
No. What I'm saying is that he is saying that we can commit wrongdoing now until the special prosecutor comes. And I'm saying that no.
I think what he's saying is that because of...
You said we should wait.
He claims that because of government's commitment,
whether... Roland, hold on. The point that I made was this, that let us wait for the special prosecutor bill to come.
And see whether...
To see whether the president is committed to the fight against corruption or not.
For now, he's not committed. So then, that's when we'll see.
I think that's what he's saying.
No, but I'm saying that the office would have powers to investigate matters even under NDC. So clearly, if the people are committing some wrongdoing now, the office would have power to investigate them as well.
But we already have...
We say fight it
right,
now.
so
it's happening. Fight it, say we should wait.
And we know this is a topical issue. It's been running, and I'm sure it's still running right now as we're doing the discussion. So we'll get a lot more to talk about before the close of Newsday and tomorrow ultimately. But one of the National Communications Authority is said to be preparing for another round of mass clampdown on radio stations after sanctioning, we're told, from the last 131 of them. They're supposed to pay huge sums of money for being in lieu of some payments, which apparently they had not been doing. So those outstandings also as defaulters are there. What do you make of this? The critics say this is using regulatory means to sanction the media. What do you say?
Well, I don't think so at all. If you look at the number of radio stations in this country.
You think there are too many?
No. So it cannot be the case that they're using regulatory means to sanction the media, because there's a proliferation of media houses in this country, and everybody who has a license or authorization at the time that they obtained the license or authorization knew the conditions that were attached to the license or authorization. It's unfortunate that past NCA administrations or leadership didn't apply the rules as they were supposed to have done. And I commend the present NCA leadership for taking the bold decision to ensure that people who operate within the space do so in accordance with the rules. Because otherwise, what kind of country do you want to build? A lawless society where people have no regard for rules and regulations? Clearly not. I'm saying that this decision is long overdue, because for operating in excess of 10, 15, 17 years without abiding by the rules of your license, it's completely unacceptable. And we cannot say that, well, media freedom, so leave them to operate, when at the time that they took the license, these are not rules or fines that have just been fixed. No.
At inception.
They have always been there, except that the authorities or the persons who had manned the NCA in the past number of years just failed to do their job. Look at the revenue losses that this activity has occasioned the public purse. Okay? Ghana's frequency space spectrum is finite, and it's a resource that we ought to exploit for the benefit of all of us. Yet, private individuals who have licenses and revenue and fail to pay what is due to the state through a renewal of licenses and the penalties that are attached to it when you breach those rules. So I think it's in the right direction. We should not encourage the NCA for doing what is right and safeguarding the right of this country appropriately.
We've had the minority even come to issue a statement and raise some serious concerns about what they think the NCA is doing.
I want to read Article 1623 to help this discussion.
Of the Constitution?
The Constitution, yes. It's
Article 1623.
Article 1623. It's under the media, the caption, freedom and independence of the media. 3 says, there shall be no impediments, and I want us to play this against what the NCA is doing. There shall be no impediments to the establishment of private press or media. And in particular, you listen to the words they are choosing, and in particular, there shall be no law requiring any person to obtain a license. You want me to go back there again? And in particular,
I think I'll love it.
And in particular,
1263.
Yes, you have to go there and look at. So we'll look at all these things and see whether the Supreme Court can come. Giba must also be interested in this matter, so they can go to court. The media, private media houses too, must also look at it. I want to begin again. There shall be no impediments to the establishment of private press or media, and in particular, there shall be no law requiring any person to obtain a license as a prerequisite to the establishment or operation of a newspaper, journal, or any media for mass communication or information. So
already the NCA regulation in there, it shouldn't be there.
Shouldn't be there, in my view.
And
you see, if we say that the NCA should go the full haul and sanction, then I will expect them also, it's also an offense, not under the Constitution, but under an Act of Parliament, one of the...
Not to enforce regulations.
It is also an offense to go beyond your frequency area. So if an Accra base, you dare not be heard.
So for example, we shouldn't be hearing Joy from Akaswa.
Exactly. So will they go that one too? Look at the fine they are imposing on this 60 million Ghana cedis, is that it? 61.
That's for bank capitalization.
Can you imagine?
Currently, yeah.
Can you imagine? And this whole constitution I've read leans in favor of freedom of speech and expression.
1623.
Leans in favor of freedom of speech and expression. So if you are a manager of that system, you should conduct yourself in such a way as to rather encourage media, the mass media and all manner of media.
You think this is deliberate?
To continue to exist. But if you clamp down on them in such a way, you are eventually saying that I'm killing you. We're not saying there shouldn't be sanctions, but it is too steep. But I've also raised this constitutional issue for us to be thinking about. And for Giba, for the Ghana Journalists Association, you went to your elections yesterday, you may want to avert your minds to this. Recently, Giba went to court at the Supreme Court to try to strike down some regulations that the NCA, is it the NCA again? No, that one was a National Media Commission. Some regulations that they were trying to bring up. They went to the Supreme Court struck it down. They should also put themselves together and look at how to deal with this matter. This is not helpful to a democracy. I am here speaking because of the platform. And so if you close down this platform, the platform, as he's saying, is shrinking. Other radios, and you know the practice in this country, radio stations have already got their resident panelists. So it will just be the one voice who is always there, who will be there. I will not get a space. He may get, that's why he says that they should close some down. But I may not get. So
you have a space
I think that managers of the NCA should begin to think in a positive way, in a broader way, the positive approach to ensuring that the media landscape is not, conscripted. And for me, that's the way to go. I'm hearing Hiba is talking to them. That is the way out. But the minority also raise value. When you check you check the radio stations, most of them are diametrically opposed to the MPP. We all know of Muntie FM, which was on the neck of the Akufo-Addo himself, and then the MPP. So when you come to power, and then you crack the whip as to strike them down and close them like that, everybody will have reference to their past and say, oh, it's because they did this to you.
But you know what really the issue is all about? It clearly tells you how people, because they are affiliated to governments, okay, abuse power.
I don't get you.
Yes, because otherwise, why would Muntie not pay their license fees?
Oh, but
because their party,
those radio stations, those radio stations are just.
But he made the point. I said
just a couple among.
Affiliated to the NPP
yes,
and NDC, and is diametrically opposed to the NPP. And I'm saying that it tells you why they have not paid their fees.
Yeah.
Because they knew that nobody could touch them.
You can make arrangements to pay.
Okay,
you
so
don't
why
close
didn't
down.
they make arrangements
You
to
don't
pay?
close down.
They were sent notices.
You don't close down.
All the way in January. They were given notices to pay up. Did they?
Okay.
Tells you that they abused the relationship between themselves and government
Article
to deprive you and I
Article
of finances that could go to support the free HSS that they say is not sustainable.
Article 162.
Students lying on verandas. Have you seen students lying on verandas?
Why were they not paying?
Article 162.
Why were they not paying?
SSH. People are lying on verandas. Is that how you want to treat your children?
If they had paid, we would be able to build classrooms and dormitories.
Have you ever built a school? You MPP. Have you ever built a secondary school?
You built all the schools.
Have you ever built a secondary school?
Your party.
Show one secondary
built
school.
Every single school in this country.
MPP, show one secondary school.
You built all the schools in this country.
Show one secondary
school.
school.
Go to Shama Secondary School.
Look at you.
Go there.
You've never built one secondary school.
I'm giving you an example. Go to Shama Secondary.
You go and put up
and go and ask them who built that school for them.
You go and put up a building in an existing secondary school and say you built a secondary school.
Go to Shama Secondary School and go and find out.
Your people are listening. So
Andrew Ejapa-Mensah is a member of parliament for Second D. Thanks for joining me, sir.
Pleasure.
Abraham Maliba is a member of parliament. No, is a member of the NDC, a legal practitioner. Both of them are lawyers, actually. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
know, I'm urging for you to.
We should not close down radio stations.
Yep.
It is not the best.
I'm an advocate for freedom of speech.
Anybody who advocates for the closure of radio stations is undemocratic.
Nobody is advocating.
Yes.
Nobody is
So we have to change
advocating
the
for closure of
and I've
radio
just read to
stations.
you a constitutional. This
Comply
constitution
with the rules.
The constitution.
Simplicity.
The constitution
has
overrides.
any such
The constitution
closures.
overrides the act.
MPR.
Yes. So you cannot.
Let
Thank
us go
you,
to the
gentlemen.
Supreme Court and seek
But
interpretation of